Hi, good morning or good afternoon. Well, my name is Sara Quintero Ramirez. I come from Mexico, from the University of Guadalajara, and this presentation's title is Textual Features of Chess Chronicles in Newspaper Articles. The presentation outline is basically this one. We're going to talk about the research objective, afterwards the theoretical framework, then the methodology, and finally the results and the conclusions. Our objective in this research is to describe the textual features that characterize chess chronicles in newspaper articles in English, more particularly from the newspaper The Guardian. In the theoretical framework, we focuses on two main topics. The first one is what is chess, and the second one is the language used in chess chronicles. So what is chess? Is it a game? Is it a sport? Is it an art? Well, according to Karayev 2016, chess is considered a popular board game that challenges the intellect and whose origins go back centuries. For Hermes and Erilli, chess is a complex intellectual game that requires sophisticated problem-solving skills. And for Bandera Castro, chess is an intellectually dominant sport whose players must know a lot about chess techniques and strategies and defensive and offensive moves. And finally, for Hess, chess is an intellectual martial art and at the same time a testing ground for aesthetics, passion, and intellectual heroism, a complete realm of ideas, emotions, and fantasies. So basically, for these authors, chess is a board game, a sport, and also an art. According to the FIDE, to the International Chess Federation, chess is played on a board consisting of 64 squares distributed in a quadrangular way in 8x8. These squares are alternated in black and white so that the different moves of the two players in a game can take place. At the beginning of the game, each player has 16 pieces. These are a king, a queen, two bishops, two knights, and two rooks and 8 pawns. The aim of chess is to defeat the opponent's king. This means that the latter cannot move the king or remove the attacking piece to defend itself. This is according to Goodbye and Fernandez Amigo 2012. Now, the second topic of our theoretical framework is what are the main linguistic characteristics that distinguish chess chronicles? Well, the language used in chess is part of the sports discourse, according to Karayev 2016. He says that it uses terms that designate a competition, as it happens in other sports events, that refer to the participants of an event, and that name the respective elements of their respective organization, as it happens with all sports. However, Maximenko, 2015, he says that this sport discipline has a specific terminology, a specific syntax, and a specific semantics that derive from its playing procedures and the rules. So, regarding the terminology of chess, there are not only specific names for the pieces, but also for the moves and the plays. On the one hand, Gude says that there are names that are taken as borrowings or loans from other languages. For example, gambit, which derives from the Italian gamba, which is leg, and it means to sacrifice material with the hope of achieving a subsequent advantageous position. On the other hand, once again, Karayev 2016, he says that there are chess terms that result from a morphological process of derivation, such as the case of promotion, centralization, obstruction. And finally, chess has lexicalized phrases such as double pawns or perpetual check that refer to specific situations in the game. And they are used a lot when we describe what is happening in a chess game. In addition to the specialized vocabulary of chess, a particular notation has been designed to give a brief and accurate description of what is happening in a game. And for this purpose, each of the squares on the board is assigned a name. The 8 columns are named successively from the letter A to the letter H, while the rows are assigned successively a number from 1 to 8. And by custom, the letter precedes the number. This is what Maximenko 2015 says. Now let's go directly to the methodology, more particularly to the corpus. In order to achieve the aforementioned objective, a corpus of 10 newspaper chess articles was generated. More particularly, the corpus was compiled using 10 articles from the British newspaper The Guardian. Based on the corpus, we determined the textual features that distinguish the chess chronicles in English. And these are the 10 articles that we used. As you can see, they were published from November 2019 till May 12, 2020. And for the analysis procedure, firstly, we identified both the structures and the terms most frequently produced by the journalist of the corpus. Later, we determined the specific role played by these lexical and syntactic structures at the level of the discourse, more specifically within the framework of the chess newspaper articles. And finally, we contrasted our results with those of other studies focused on newspaper articles too, but in various sports disciplines, so that we could establish similarities and differences between what happens in the chess discourse and more physical sports discourse. Now it's time to go directly to the results, and this is what we found. First, we have to say that the structure of the text is very similar to the structure of any other newspaper article, not only sports newspaper articles, but of any newspaper article. First, as it happens in sports or in newspaper articles, we have the headline. Afterwards, we have the heading, and then the name of the author. Afterwards, the date. But something which is very distinctive in these chronicles or in these newspaper articles is that we have a chessboard with the position of the pieces in a particular moment of a real game. And then we have a number, as you can see it here, and a trivia. So the author, Leonard Barden, who we have to say is an expert on chess and has been writing articles for The Guardian for more than 50 years, well, he presents something challenging for the readers, and also with a didactical objective. So this is very interesting because we have a trivia here, which is a particularity of this text and of this corpus. And then we have, just like the rest of the news, which reconsider or which retake what has been said at the very beginning in the headline. And at the very end of the text, we find also the solution to the trivia. So let's go to the different parts of the text that are very interesting for us. First, the headlines. Okay, yes, the headline is just like any headline in a newspaper article. However, the particularity here is that the word, more particularly the noun chess, is presented here. In 7 out of 10 articles of our corpus, the word chess is presented at the very beginning of the headline. According to Nadal Palazón, this kind of strategy used by journalists is in order to tell the reader what he is going to read about in the whole news. And well, this is basically what we find. However, 3 out of 10 articles present the word chess in the body of the headline. So teenage chess prodigy Alireza Firouzja beaten by Magnus Carlsen, or Magnus Carlsen prepares for London chess finals, etc. So we have the word chess in all of our headlines. It is true that it's a little corpus, but it would be very interesting also to find out what happens in a more in a bigger or in a more abundant corpus. And now the headings. Well, the headings, as any other newspaper articles headings, reconsider or retake the information that is presented in the headline. And in this case, all of them begin with a metonymy, which reconsiders the main character of the newspaper article. The word champion is a metonymy that refers to Magnus Carlsen, or the 16-year-old, which refers to this teenager, Fijuriza. And the word number one, once again, refers to Magnus Carlsen. And then we have the body of the text. We divided the body of the text into three main parts. The first one represents or presents what we have already stated before, which is just like the chessboard with a specific position of the pieces. And then we have the presentation of a trivia. Afterwards, we have the body of the text number two, which is just like the presentation of the news that the text has focused on. And in this particular case, I would like to stop a little bit here, because it's true that we find some similarities to other sports newspaper articles. In this case, they focused in what happened in the event. For example, Carlsen won his first four matches, or White continued for another 20 moves before resigning, or the same unsound sacrifice at E6 occurred 56 years ago during Bobby Fischer's tour, etc. So it's true. It has it presents in past tense what happened in the event. However, something that calls our attention is that the texts present a lot of adjectives, and more specifically evaluative adjectives, which give not only the opinion of the author of the text, but also gives the reader the opportunity to imagine more clearly what happened in the event. And we also have something that distinguishes this text is the name of the moves, as Maximenko says. Well, we find specific terminology of the chess discourse. For example, in here, Scandinavian defense or the King's Gambit. And moreover, we find the description of the moves, right? E4 and C6, etc., which represent the moves that the players are developing during the game, that we find in gray. And all of the articles present these characteristics. And finally, well, the body of the text number three, or the third part of the body of the text, presents, as we said before, the solution to the trivia. It presents the number, once again, the same number that is presented before, and then just like once again, just like the description of the moves that one, as a reader and as a fan of chess, has to follow in order to improve the game, right? So this trivia has a didactic objective, which is very interesting, because it goes further from the presentation of the news only. So it's time for us to present the conclusions. And basically, we have to say that the structure of the text in the chess newspaper articles from The Guardian presents at least three distinctive features. As we said before, the noun chess in the headline, the trivia with a chessboard, which just gives a challenge or presents a challenge to the reader, and at the very end of the text, the solution to the trivia. We agree with Karayev when he says that these articles share some characteristics of newspaper articles in general, especially those focused on other sports disciplines. It's true. However, we have to say this final sentence, which is, someone that does not know much about chess can have a general idea of the text. This is true. However, it is very difficult to understand the specific ideas expressed, such as the name of the place, the moves, the events, the trivia, even the name of the chess players. It is not the same, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's not the same to read about Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo in a football article, even if I'm not a fan of football. However, if I read about Magnus Carlsen or Vichy Anand, it's not very common that everybody knows about them. So this gives us the idea that chess articles are a little bit more difficult to read, because not everyone has access to chess or wants to read about chess. So this is basically what we have to say, and these are our main references. And thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any questions or comments, I will be very happy to answer. Thank you very much.